So I thought I could show you some tips for slide design based on what previous groups had done, both good and bad, because I think, you know, this is as much about the content as it is about delivering your ideas in an engaging and convincing fashion. So hopefully after you watch this, you understand how the slide design enhances your content, or in some cases can take it away, and you can see some common errors and avoid the temptation to do that. And maybe you might try one or two new things while using Google Slides. And so these are all slides that students have done, so I know that it's possible. And then also, unfortunately, despite suggestions and proofreading, some of the do not do's were also done. So I just wanted you to see them and look at them critically, and maybe you can see my perspective about why it isn't as effective as the positive example. So these slides I thought were very effective, and they're not perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but they have good features, and you can include some of these elements. So just I like big images. They really uh, capture your attention. So you can change the background of the slide and make it a full-size image. So if your image is 1920 pixels wide by 1080 tall, it's perfect for a full-size image, and you can make it really big. It's bold, it catches the eye, and no one has to squint to read it. So this was a title slide, just bold right away. You knew this was going to be about Starbucks, and the entire presentation they showed what they were talking about. Here's, clean and clear design. Not too much text, couple of images. It's all about the Frappuccino. It's balanced, it's simple. You can see, maybe this text could have been a couple of font points bigger, but it's very elegant and totally enhanced what the person was talking about. Showing people. So don't, when they're talking about what makes the Starbucks experience different, don't tell people about the Starbucks experience. Don't tell them, something in a long-winded explanation. Show them, and they'll know exactly what you mean. So they were talking about people who worked in Starbucks, using it as a third space, the friendly barista service, and the nice decoration, and they showed us with images. Match the images to the content. Don't just get a stock image like a Starbucks logo. This is totally connected to what the text is. It's the growth strategy of advertising on social media with an example of one of Starbucks' social media advertisements. I think this person, maybe should have, gotten a little more rest, but hopefully, it's just a screen grab they found online and they weren't up that late. But the idea is, you know, teenagers use social media. Here's a Starbucks ad targeted towards teenagers from social media. Make it easy to understand. Here are groups talking about the prices, and just state a photo of each drink, the price of each competitor. It's easy to understand how it all stacks up. Speaks for itself, and then while this slide's being shown, the group could elaborate on what was behind Starbucks' pricing strategy. Here, now, if you look at the slides, the Google slideshow, you'll see that there was a long explanation in the speaker's notes. So they didn't put it on the slide itself. They put the key points, 3 to 4 bullet points, nothing big, in the slide, and their own script and the details were in the speaker note at the bottom. So that's where the extra information should go, or the rough work, not on your slides. And here's a works cited list. Just use EasyBib. It generates it for you. Get all the information, the date, the author, just so that I can verify it. clear and concise. Uh, we know you did your work when you submit a properly formatted works cited list. But, on the other hand, there's this being the real world, there's some slides that need improvement. Here's one. I think the content here is fine, but it's just too much text. This is just overwhelming. This small image, this these paragraphs, it doesn't add anything. You can say this, but maybe you reorganize it on the slide in a different way, like a table, and we'll have a better chance of processing it all. You're just overwhelming the audience, and the person in the back of the room has no chance. Here is too much text as well, but it's two separate topics on the same slide. Uh, Whereas that other one should have been reformatted, this is an easily two different slides for starters. Because are we about touchscreen or about Fortnite? In the end, no one's going to remember either point. So uh, keep it to, you can always add an extra slide to better divide your information. Um, and this is, again, we could have had a closer look at what their proposal for a drive-through window would look like if they had divided this up. So seriously, a slide that I've received. Uh, what's going on here? We've got a photo of Tim Horton who founded Tim Horton. We got a map. We got the coffee, Timbits, the Visa card. Let's watch that again. And what's going on here? It's just all this animation. It's overdoing it, and it's uh, it's just what you getting all the clip art you can about Tim Hortons. Um, Perhaps it was a good idea to profile a competitor, but one, one judiciously chosen image would have been better. If they're talking about Starbucks international expansion versus Tim Hortons international expansion, then the map should have gone there. If they're talking about their use of technology, then maybe the Visa card goes there. Here is an irrelevant graphic. It's about Howard Schultz and how Howard Schultz uh, founded the company. And the first time he left the company, there was a bit of an issue. He actually came back uh, in 2008, but there's this big stock chart here. At no point during this slide did the person talk about stock prices. They all talked about Howard Schultz, when he founded Starbucks, when he left Starbucks, uh, whether he would come back or not, and it just was not connected. So make sure anything you put up there is connected. And some small text like that bar chart on the side is just impossible. I think you could take, for example, that chart and take the top three answers and make them into your own chart using Google Sheets and then put it in there. We could definitely increase the font size. If we're going to emphasize this chart, get rid of the Frappuccino. Maybe we just take a like 1 point from this chart. But if you look at the text, it's all about the marketing strategy for Frappuccinos, and then we're talking about caffeine content, and so we've just chosen to make everything small and cramped, but it's really not coherent. This slide doesn't fit together. Something like this, again, trying to stand out, but in the end, you just distracted everyone, and these images aren't related to what they're talking about. This is a generic GIF for an app. Why are we having the Frappuccino GIF when we're talking about online struggles? Just excessive, and it distracted from the person's words. Just sometimes when you use the stock template exactly as is, it's a little bland. I'd encourage you to go to Edit, Slide Master, and make a few changes, like a little bit of the color scheme, a little bit of the font. We see these same templates over and over again. So make a little change, and it'll make yours stand up. What about taking this navy color and making it a green to match Starbucks? So this is pretty good. It's well organized. It's well balanced. But what if they just that little again editing of the slide template would have given them that little spark that separates the 90 from the 95 and the 100. I hate this type of works cited list. It's impossible to find out which point went with which link. It is not correct. It looks unprofessional. You could keep this in your rough notes so you remembered all the sites that you visited, but it does not belong at all in your final project. And even though I mentioned that it does not belong at all, and I hate this and it's unprofessional, it seems like I see two or three of these every time. So you can submit your works cited as a separate document and don't include it, or you can take you can go to EasyBib, do something quick, uh, because otherwise, like maybe you mentioned a point about Starbucks. How do I know which link I should visit to double check your work? This is no longer acceptable in grade 10, so I hope that this one is the last that I see like this. So hopefully you see what people have done and do not do, and you can give it a shot. You're working from home today with your group, so if you have some questions about using the slides, uh, go ahead and email. And I wish you the very best of luck with your online collaboration and your online virtual presentation.